Hey there, welcome. My name is Lou Diamond, speaker, consultant, podcaster, and author of Speak Easy. You know, in the original Speak Easies, it was real important to stay very quiet so the police couldn't hear where your clandestine special nightclub was. Well, here, at this Speak Easy, we encourage conversations. You see, I believe that every connection begins with a great conversation. In fact, at this establishment and in my book, Speak Easy, I've put together the tips, tricks, techniques, blends, mixtures, and concoctions that you need to make more of your conversations great. Whether you're a professional looking to grow your business, a leader looking to connect your people, or an individual looking to grow your own personal connections, the lessons you'll learn in Speak Easy will help you connect, engage, and win in all of your conversations.
Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond.
These go to 11.
Would you like to learn from those that are taking their lives, their businesses, and their passions to the next level? Best-selling author of Speak Easy and master connector Lou Diamond is here to connect you to some of the most inspiring and amazing people on this planet. Get ready to thrive loud with Lou Diamond.
Welcome, everyone, to another spectacular episode of Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond, connecting you to the most inspiring and amazing people that are thriving each and every day. I'm your host, Lou Diamond. Today on Thrive Loud, we have the author of 7 books. He's best known for The Coaching Habit, the best-selling coaching book of the century and already recognized as a classic. He was a Rhodes Scholar. He plays the ukulele terribly. He's Australian and lives in Toronto, Canada, so I know all of the accents might confuse you a bit on this episode, but his message will not. Thrive Loud listeners, I bring you the legend MBS, Michael Bungay Stanier. How are you, Michael?
I am terrific. Happy to be here, celebrating your smart new book. Congratulations on that, and up for a great conversation.
Definitely. We are here, listeners, for a mashup episode between The Coaching Habit and Speak Easy, which is what Michael and I are going to be covering today. And before we get rolling that, we're going to do a little bit of a rewind, Michael. I'm not going to go all the way to the womb. We're not going all the way back to Australia. We're going back kind of a little bit. I want to understand for when we're going to talk about The Coaching Habit specifically, and we'll dive into your new message, your new book coming up. But when did the key lessons of The Coaching Habits come to you, and when you decided, hey, I want to put this down and share this message?
So The Coaching Habit came out in 2016. I wrote that version in 2015. I spent the previous 3 years trying to get a mainstream posh New York publisher to publish from 2012 to 2015. And they kept going, Michael, it's good, but it's not good enough. We love you, but we don't love this book. So I wrote it and I wrote it and I wrote it. And really from 2007 through to 2015, I'd been teaching the lessons that emerged and became kind of crystallized, diamondized, if you like, in the Coaching Habit book. So part of why that book works, I think, and why it's been a success is, first of all, like you, I think, I try and write the shortest book possible that I can that's useful. I'm like, how do I make it less rather than more? So what's there is more rather than less. And it just had been kind of all these lessons had been really tested with a lot of people, like thousands of people. So I really knew that they would resonate and they'd really work.
I love it. And we're even going to dive into some of them for those who are a fan. And by the way, there are many of you out there because almost 1 million people, 500,000 to 1 million people have purchased this book. Actually,
it's about 1.25 million now,
amazing.
To my extraordinary delight. No books sell more than 10,000 copies, typically speaking. So to sell that many is just bizarre.
It is. It's a huge accomplishment, but it also is a credit to something that you just hit, which is the simplicity of a lot of what you deliver here. When I left Wall Street in sales, I actually got certified as a coach, knowing that I wanted to take some of the rudimentary learnings of coaching and bring it into helping companies thrive.
Yeah.
You do something even better than that. You've taken the rudimentary lessons of coaching and dive them into the types of questions you need to be thinking to ask. Can I cover that concept of
Sure.
that with you? Because it's also an important aspect to how important questions really are.
Yeah. I mean, coachings are the very heart of They're the bedrock of good coaching, because curiosity is the bedrock of good coaching. But it turns out actually curiosity is the bedrock of good relationships. So I had a couple of things in mind. I wanted to unweird the whole idea of coaching, and I wanted to make coaching not feel like a profession, but feel like a way of showing up. Everybody can show up and be more coach-like by staying curious a little bit longer. And the way you stay curious a little bit longer is you tame your advice monster and you have a few good questions to ask. So I was like, in the 8 million drafts of the book, I went through, 3 questions, 172 questions, 81 questions. I picked all my favorite numbers, 108 questions, and finally came down to 7 questions. As going, look, with 7 good questions, that's going to carry you a long way in most conversations in terms of being able to stay usefully curious.
I love this. And this is what I want to get to if I were to merge these together. I'm going to give a little spoiler alert for the listeners here. Here are those questions. There's the kickstart question, the awe question, the lazy question, the strategic question, the focus question, and the foundation question, and maybe the most important, the learning question. For those who've ever had a situation where you were trying to dissect and learn information about somebody else, some new instance, establish a relationship. If you were to bucket what that looked like, I think you basically outlined what the structure of what you usually cover in most conversations are.
Right. Yeah. I mean, let's go back in time for you as well. I'll go back to your sales background. And, I don't have formal sales training, but the little I know about it, it seemed to me that the major flaw in most sales conversation is people start selling too soon. And if you could just hang on until you really understand what's going on, you can then better help that person. And sometimes that's selling the thing you've got in your bag, and sometimes it's not selling them the thing you've got in your bag because they're not going to buy it.
Yeah.
So this focus on going, so what is the real challenge that you're up against? What's the hard thing for you? And what else is hard? And what else is hard? Just allows a conversation to start unfolding, and you get into the interesting stuff more quickly.
I completely agree. And I love this because it gets tactical on how conversations are. And there's 2 other points that also are very much in line with where I think conversations need to be. The first is what coaching does. I say that the currency of conversations is help. And I think that is actually at the rudimentary of what you're trying to do when you coach. Right. And that is, if for those that you're coaching, you are trying to help somebody, you're trying to help them kind of motivate themselves and come up with the way that they need to bring the best out of them.
Yeah.
And that help is what, when you're digging through questions, is also a sense of empathy and care that you are showing that I want to be able to help you. So I need to ask a whole bunch of questions to understand how I can.
Yeah. And the seduction in the word help, and the dangerous seduction, is it can be very tempting to say, look, the way I best help is I tell people what to do. I'm being helpful by offering up my advice. And it turns out you're only being helpful, not actually helpful. And while there is always a place for advice and solutions and suggestions, it's just a little later in the conversation than normally shows up. So one of the most powerful things you can do to help someone is give them space to figure some stuff out for themselves, and hold the space for them to feel like they've got somebody on their side, and to be encouraging when they need encouragement, and to give them a bit of a push when they need a bit of a push. But it turns out that most of the time, what people aren't looking for is your actual advice.
That's so true. That's 100% right. You're basically trying to figure out how you can help them provide the advice. That's actually an interesting take. They're not looking for anything from you. They just want to be able to get the conversation rolling so they can share their ideas.
It is a great gift to have space to think stuff through, to test out some ideas, just to talk. And, there's that research that says doctors on average interrupt their patient, I think after 11 seconds, something miserable. And I'm like, I was just noticing, I've just been to the doctor recently, and my doctor literally interrupted me on the 11-second mark. And I'm like, dude, you're living the research dream at the moment. But in some ways, it's a bit unfair to doctors, because I think we all tend to interrupt pretty quickly in a conversation, because after 10 seconds of hearing somebody talk, you're like, haha, I know what you need. Yeah. I'll pretend to listen for the next little while until I can find a moment to insert my idea into the conversation.
Okay, so this is perfect, because this is what I wanted to hit upon. You and I have learned within coaching that when we come from a level of listening that is about that second level listen, which is focused listening on who you're on, you're not making anything about yourself. And that 11-second mark when we're trying to interrupt somebody is the individual level of listening, when we're focused on ourselves, interjecting, saying, oh, I love that idea. Let me tell you what I think. But the real power comes from letting them share what they have in that focused listening and understand, because the gift that's being given here is you're learning from that person. They're giving to you what is important to them and not what's important to anybody else. And that's giving them the chance to be in that single level listening. You agree?
Well, I do. For me, masterful coaching happens when you actually able to bring your full focus onto how do I best serve the other person? How can I best be helpful for that other person? And quite often, one of the reasons we interrupt and we want to offer up suggestion is we're trying to make us feel a bit better, to prove that we're adding value and that we're useful and that we care and all that sort of stuff. The thing about the level 2 listening, as it's sometimes called, which is like you're focused just on that other person. I personally have never been able to do that in a pure way.
That's true.
Because here's what I mean by that. It's like I am always conscious of my own ideas and my frustrations and my excitement and my irritations. That's all happening in me and in my head and in my heart as I'm in conversation with somebody. What my experience, I guess, has brought me is an ability to watch that rattle around my own head without the need to verbalize it, without the need to believe that this is actually the thing that needs to be said. And I'm like, look at me, I'm feeling quite anxious about this conversation. Well, why don't I just shut up for a bit? Oh, look at me, I'm feeling irritated by this conversation. Why don't I just ask a question rather than telling them something?
Yeah, that's what we're saying. Well, you're asking, the way that it's coming out for what you're thinking is coming out in a question. So the power comes from asking versus telling them what you think. And when you ask them a question, at least you're opening up. Yes, you're bringing up your opinion in there, but now we're going to get their opinion to your response to that.
That's right. Yeah, that's it. That's right.
So what I love about conversations is, if you take this is the roadmap to follow in what Michael brings together in his message. One of the things that I tried to bring forward in Speak Easy has nothing to do with what you actually have to say, or nothing actually what you have to do. It's how you need to be.
Right.
Because there is a way that makes you more engaging in a conversation. There's a sense of, this is the way I have to bring myself to that conversation so that you can hold the conversation in a better light. I'm sure you've danced around that. And that's something that we try to cover in Speak Easy, in the sense that it's how you need to be versus more of what you need to do.
Yeah. There is, when I teach this stuff and I get people to practice it, I'll often set up a short conversation, and I'll say to the person who's asking the questions, here are your rules. You can only ask this one question, and then you're not allowed to do anything else other than listen. You're allowed to make small grunting noises of encouragement, enthusiasm, and I'd encourage that. But actually, you're not allowed to add any more questions or add any advice. You just have to be present and listen. And it's very liberating for people, because they're like, oh, this is great. I'm not allowed to do anything else, so I have to listen. And what happens after 3 minutes, the other person goes, I don't think I've ever been listened to for 3 minutes without being interrupted. It's amazing. And this may not be right in terms of how you talk about it in your book, but speak easy is a phrase that works together. But in some ways, speaking is one part of it. And there's a softness and an openness and a groundedness and a presence, which kind of is the easiness of it for me, which is like, I am at ease in this conversation. I am present in this conversation as somebody listening. And that is rare and pretty wonderful when it happens.
Yeah. And it's what we try to look, it's what we're trying to combine with the idea when I actually, so listeners will know this, MBS, Mr. Michael Bungay Stanier, is the reason why I wanted to do this mashup, where we have a whole bunch of authors in here, but it was specifically of like, how do you combine the habit of what great coaches do and how you need to be into connecting with every conversation. And I said, well, wouldn't it be great if I had a conversation with MBS to be able to do that? And that's what we did right here. So that's exactly what it was. And so it's a kudos to you for the work and the messaging that you've done in a very simple format. So the world thanks you. I'm speaking on behalf of them. I did want to hit this because you're You're a brilliant individual. You've written lots of books. And I love asking authors this question. I asked a bunch of other authors who've been in this program the same one. I'm curious to know, Michael, where this goes. There's a gift that the reader has received in your books and the message that's there. There's an intended one. That's usually the reason you set out to write it.
Yeah.
But what ends up happening in most instances, surprisingly, almost as a happy accident, is there's a gift that the author receives.
Right.
MBS, what is the gift that you received in putting together the coaching habit?
Well, there's quite a few gifts. One on a very practical level is a degree of freedom, because the book has sold a lot of copies, and that's actually afforded me a degree of financial freedom where I can actually spend some time going, what do I want to do next? And where do I most want to direct my time and attention and energy? So that's a very practical, tactical gift, which is like, I earn a living from the sales of my books. And there aren't many people who can say that, and I do not take it for granted at all. I'm pretty damn grateful about it. But I just get a fairly regular stream of emails from people in all walks of life, from academics and from parents and from coaches and from managers, just saying, this is making my life a little bit better. And that, I know that's potentially and probably a good gift for them, but getting those thanks from people, it's enormous. It's pretty wonderful.
Yeah. I would say that's exactly it. It's the best gift in the world, right?
Yeah.
It's because now you've connected with somebody through your message that's meant something to them. I guess it's almost like that self-fulfilling, this is why I did what it is. It's the key reminder, not to take away from the fact that it affords you to do what you can do.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
It's to me, that's the more valuable win to me. Maybe
the thing that's an interesting path to walk on this, Lou, I find anyway, is it's such a roll of the dice whether your book becomes a big success or not. And honestly, most books aren't a big success. Most books don't get read by that many people. And one of the things that I try and do, and this is a kind of attention that I hold, is to celebrate the success that book and some other books have had and are having, and not get too entangled in the success of it. Because I'm like, I know that when I wrote The Coaching Habit, I am damn proud of this book. And even if it doesn't sell any copies, I feel that this is a really good contribution to my body of work. And I'm going to do all I can to get it out there and get people to buy it and know about it and love it. But if it doesn't take off, that's okay as well, because I've committed to the process and I have to let go of the outcome. Yeah. So all of the outcomes that we're talking about are just delightful surprises and what I hope for, but also delightful surprises.
Love it. I want to do some signature questions we do here on Thrive Loud. I'm curious to see where this goes, Michael. Hey, you've been thriving as an author, as a valuable, you have been a resource to so many people. And I probably don't think you recognize that as much as you do, but I'm going to say you are, because it is true. And which means through a lot of your life, you've been able to thrive. But we all have those days when we're not quite kicking on all cylinders and we're a little off our game.
Yeah.
Michael, when you have trouble thriving, what practice do you seek, or maybe which individual do you seek out to get yourself back on the thriving track?
Well, part of what I've learned is you just have off days, and you don't even have to get back on the thriving track. You just go, this is one of those days where I'm off my game. And it's part of the process. So I'm like, I try and be a bit relaxed about it. I'm like, I'm hopeless today. I'm in the slough of despond. And I try not to make the whole matters worse by beating myself up for being the slough of despond, or trying to force too much kind of get better and get sorted, Michael. And I learned that because for 15 years I was in a mastermind group, and over 15 years, the other people get to know you really well, and they get to know your patterns and the kind of repeating blind spots you have. And I had a repeating blind spot that after a big thing, I would enter a period of kind of ennui and existential, what's the point of it all-ness. And it's like, I'm making it sound probably a bit worse than it actually is, but there was a certain amount of, nobody likes my work and it's not really making any impact, and I don't know why I'm bothering, and I can't really think of anything else to do. So should I just eat? Should I just lie on a sofa and watch Netflix? And I just remember my friend Jen saying to me at one stage, "Oh, you're in this phase. Yeah, we've seen this before. We've seen it quite a few times before. So the good news is you get out of this phase quite soon." And I was like, "Huh, that's true. I do actually get out of this phase quite soon. Thank you." And ever since she said that, I've been able to hold the miasma of kind of stuckness a little more lightly.
I like that. And by the way, I can't speak highly enough about importance of mastermind groups and all of that. They're the ones who, as I like to say, they're the ones who kick your ass when you really need it.
Right. Yeah, exactly. They're
Totally
like,
with you.
it's like, you can't fool us.
Yeah.
We know all your tricks, Michael, and you're not going to get away with it. I'm like, that's so helpful and annoying, but helpful.
Let's do the admin part of the show. And with that, I also want to make sure Michael has another book coming out, which we'll give the plug to in there as well. Share with the listeners all the places people can find you. We will put it in the show notes, but it always gets more engagement when they hear it from you.
Sure. So look, the hub for everything is my website, which is mbs.works. And you can find there access to the books and access to some free courses that we have. We've got one called The Year of Living Brilliantly, which is totally free. And a community that's thriving there as well. So if you really want to get curious, and I've got some social media at MBS_works on Instagram and Twitter in particular.
Perfect. You also have a new book. Tell everybody about how to begin. Let's talk about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So how to begin is about going, how do I figure out what to put my time and attention to? You know, there's the phrase that's at the very heart of how to begin is we unlock our greatness by working on the hard stuff. So then the question is, well, first of all, do you want to unlock your greatness? And if you do, what's the hard stuff that would unlock your greatness? And so to my surprise, I've ended up writing a book about how do you set a goal. And I'm not actually very goal oriented myself. So it's a bit weird that I've done this, but I realized how much I was irritated by the idea of SMART goals and how much they didn't work for me. So it had to begin. It's like, how do you set a worthy goal? Something that is thrilling, lights you up, important, contributes to the bigger picture and serves the world, and daunting, takes you to the edge of who you are and what you know and where you're growing. And how do you find the best articulation of thrilling, important, and daunting for you? And then once you have that, how do you commit? And then how do you cross the threshold and begin your worthy goal?
Oh, I love that. Like it. We'll put all the links in the show notes. And everyone will get a chance to see it on the landing page as well. Plus, for good humor here, for the listeners, we will also show you this as well, which is where you could find both
Beautiful.
of the books.
Well, there you go. Like I'm holding up and championing your book.
Yes.
Congratulations. It is hard to write a book, and it is exciting to get it out in the world. And then it's hard to, at least this is for me, Lou. Maybe this wasn't for you, but I found that with my books, you spend so long in the background writing them that when they actually arrive in the world, you slightly forget to celebrate their arrival because you're onto I've got to market them, I've got to sell them, I've got to do all of this. And I just want to take the moment to suggest you pause and really go, this is like an achievement and congratulations.
Thank you. And thank you very much. And coming from you is extremely high regards. And you are right. I'm in full, as we are here right now, in full marketing mode of the book and everything. So totally get it. We're going to go down Fun Street here. I know MBS is ready for it. Are you ready?
I'm so ready for it.
Share with the listeners what you shared with me is one of your all-time favorite movies.
Oh, I can't remember what I shared with you, but I'm going to tell you my two standard answers, and there's a relationship between them, and hopefully this is one of what I shared with you. Let's see if
this is what you answered exactly.
So one of them is definitely The Princess Bride.
That's what you answered, yeah.
That is just one of the all-time great movies of all time. And then Connected, because Christopher Guest is in both movies. The other one is Spinal Tap and Take It to 11. So I've actually got a little thing on my my desk.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
My little volume knob that takes it to 11. So
that's brilliant.
When you need to go over the top, you go one more and you take it to 11.
But this one goes to 11. You know, by the way, there's two things. One, the producers are very excited because we have some comical openings of Thrive Loud, and now we know which one to use. The Spinal Tap one will be utilized. But Princess Bride, I will state this. We've had a lot of guests do it. It was on recently, and I got to the infamous sword fighting scene. You killed with my name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
Yeah.
And to see Christopher Guest go, stop saying that, is my favorite part of the whole scene.
So good. So good. Yeah. It's a masterpiece.
So we're going to do a speed round here, and this is how
Okay.
it works. You can handle it. I know you got it. I'm going to ask you something. I want the first thing that comes to your mind. These are things that lift you up, that motivate you, that make you feel good, that basically make you thrive.
Sure.
Okay, ready? Here we go. Of late, a song that you love to listen to, or maybe one that pumps you up.
Yeah. Bob Dylan, Crossing the Rubicon, from his latest album.
Ooh. Oh, wow. Okay, I'm going to get back to Dylan at the end. I'm going to comment about this. Favorite food that is not a dessert?
Ooh. At the moment, it's vegetarian sausages. My wife became a vegan 3 years ago, and she's discovered this particular brand, and they are damn good. And summer vegetarian sausage, fried onion. There's a few things better in the world.
I like it. A favorite dessert?
Summer here in Toronto, I'd probably say peach crumble with vanilla ice cream.
Oh, that's a good combo. I like that.
Yeah.
An activity you wish you did more of?
At the moment, playing tennis. I've just had an operation on my hand.
Ooh.
I'm going to hold it up. You can see some gruesome scars there on my fingers. And it's actually been quite a few years since I picked up a tennis racket. And part of the operation was to get my hand in a place where I could hold a tennis racket properly. So I'm quite excited to get back to that.
They could always just staple it to your hand.
Staple it.
Might be difficult for typing and writing, though.
Yeah.
An activity you wish you did less of?
Email.
Yeah. If I could snap my fingers and Michael could be anywhere in the world, where are you?
That's a hard question. It's probably camping in the evening somewhere in the Australian bush.
Oh, I like it. Bring a little bit of camping, that stuff you got going on. Bring it back home into the bush.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd probably do it in a glamping format. I'm just going to call myself out. There's only so much of that.
That's probably reality for me as well. But I'm imagining that I'm young enough and I don't mind lying on the ground enough that I'm somewhere under eucalyptus. That the oils are released. So you got the scent, you got the dusk, and you got the birds singing. You got that lucid light that you can happen in Australia. You got the Southern Cross just beginning to appear, and the constellations above you. Perfect.
Michael Bungay Stanier, thank you so much for coming on the program today. Thank you for the gift you've given the world, and great appreciation for having you on the program. And thanks for doing this mashup here with Speak Easy. Everybody check it out, speakeasybook.com. All the links we'll give you for the coaching habit and everything that MBS Works has for you, mbsworks.com. Michael.
Just MBS.works.
MBS.works. Yes, there we go.
Lou, it's a pleasure. Thanks and congratulations again on the book.
Absolutely. And to all our listeners out there, thank you for joining us. And until next time, keep moving onward and upward. And remember, be brief, be bright, be gone.
You've been listening to Thrive Loud with your host, Lou Diamond. Check us out on the web at thriveloud.com and follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook at Thrive Loud. And check us out on the Good Pods app at Thrive Loud, where you can follow, listen, and connect directly to Lou and all of the Thrive Loud episodes. Thanks for listening.